These guys are ridiculous. These guys are ridiculous.
Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back with another How About Them Celtics video. Sam and I are talking on Tuesday, December 5th, the day before we leave for Vegas. You guys are hearing this as we are on the way to Vegas. But unfortunately, it won't be to see the Celtics because they lost to the Pacers. If you'd like our thoughts on that, go check it out. But we had a report today from Shams Charania of The Athletic on Run It Back TV, which I think is like presented by FanDuel or something.
I think that show only exists to be tweeted out in clips.
Yeah. I think this is just FanDuel TV. But regardless, Sham said, I expect the Celtics to be active in the trade market as we get closer to February to try and see if they can beef up their bench rotation. Sham's biggest concern for the Celtics is late game execution. What kind of player are they missing? Well, one, my response to Shams in that aspect, don't think the bench players are the biggest issue in late game execution. So I don't really know what that's about because the bench players aren't really playing in late game execution. That said, you can understand why they might want to beef it up. They're playing a lot of these guys in spot minutes, and it hasn't necessarily gone amazing, right? Past the four of Horford, Cornette, Pritchard, Hauser, you really see a significant drop-off. Banton's been all right in his minutes. Brissett's brought you some stuff. Svi's gotten a couple chances. Lamar hasn't really gotten to the court. Nemi's been fine for rebounding purposes, but if they can get another legitimate rotation guy, you'd really feel solid about them heading into the latter portion of the season. I've seen some stuff saying like, oh, maybe this means they're not confident in Pritchard, or maybe they don't like Cornette. Personally, I feel like this is just bulking up past that because I think Cornette and Pritchard have both been pretty fine in their roles. But curious to know what you think in that regard.
Yeah, well, they lose a game that's a big one, and you got to blow up the team. That's the rule. But also, I do think there is value in bringing in extra help for the bench. I'm just not sure where the best place is.
That's what I was saying.
Bring in that help because I like Pritchard. I think for the most part he's been solid. He's been hot and cold, which is an issue, but it's also kind of what you expect from a bench scoring guard that's going to look for his shot and create. He's not going to have it every night. If he did, he'd be a starter somewhere. That's just kind of how it goes. As far as Cornette goes, I feel like there could be value in bringing in someone to kind of eat up the minutes he's playing, but at the same time, is there really value in that? I mean, Cornette's been fine. You saw him against the Pacers yesterday. He was the least of their problems. He had very, very good minutes. He had a couple of blocks, couple of alley-oops. He was a force on the glass. Like, he's out there playing hard. The only significant knock on Luke Cornette is that he can't move his feet fast enough to play perimeter defense. And for the $6.5 million trade except or $6.2 million trade exception they have, you're not going to find that. You're not getting that. If you're going to trade for somebody, you're going to have to combine a bunch of these bench salaries in order to make the move. And that doesn't overly feel worth it. I think the wing spot on the bench is as cemented as it's ever been, with Sam Hauser being Mr. Reliable, playing good defense and knocking down his threes when he's given the opportunity to shoot them. So it's either point guard or it's center for me, unless you really think you need more help at the 2-guard spot, which I guess you could be like, yeah, bring in more size. Could be another 3-and-D guy that you put in there. But at the same time, it just seems like they're in this weird spot where the guys might not be good enough, but they're also kind of just good enough. So it's very hard to move on from them, if that makes sense. Or at least axe their minutes.
No, I get that. My thing is, I think the bench is, like you said, in that weird spot to the point where the Celtics could potentially explore trade at any of the positions. It would just, in my opinion, have to be for somebody who brings something different than the 3 guys they have rolling at those positions. I'm excluding Al Horford because Al Horford's going to get rotational minutes regardless. But like,
yes,
if you get a center, I think it should be a center that can guard the perimeter, or even like a 4-5, like obviously not Wenyen Gabriel because he's just not that caliber. Somebody like him who is a little bit quicker, who can bang down low when you need him to a little bit, but can also get out and play the switch defense the Celtics like to run at times, because we've seen Cornette get cooked by that in the Orlando game. If it is a guard, maybe you bring in a bigger guard who can play a little bit better defense than Peyton Pritchard, who can still hit down his shots, but is more apt on the defensive end, like an Alex Caruso. That's probably a supercharged version of what the Celtics could target, but I think that's an example. And then if it's a wing, I think you target a defensive wing, maybe a switchable one, a guy who can guard a bunch of different positions. And this isn't to say that Hauser is necessarily bad on the defensive end. He's actually been very good. But if you did want to switch it up, maybe get somebody like a Grant Williams who can guard centers, but is also capable of guarding the perimeter a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying get Grant Williams, obviously, but I'm just saying if the Celtics are going to make a trade, making a trade for somebody who has a skill set that varies from the three guys they have, I think is important because I don't think any of them have been bad necessarily.
The weird
But
thing
yeah.
is Hauser is the prototypical bench wing that you would want in any situation.
Mm-hmm.
Reliable from three, plays solid enough defense. There's really not much more you can ask out of him. So if you're going to bring in somebody else, do you really need something different or you want more of the same? And at that point, like, I don't know, like you have other skill setted big guy or wing guys. They're just not playing because they're not able to contribute. Hauser is head and shoulders above the rest. So I think to your point, the deviation will come at the guard spot or at the center spot. Maybe you get a Derek White light to come off the bench.
Yeah.
Who is it? Who knows?
That's yeah. Excuse me, I have to cough. But I was about to start talking, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be rough. That is kind of where the problem lies. You do wonder what is out there for the Celtics to go get. I've come up with a few ideas in my boredom state, and unfortunately, a lot of them do involve Celtics make a trade for somebody that fits the TPE, and then they flip it later. Which that's the other part of all this. It's not easy for the Celtics to make trades. It's really not easy for the Celtics to make any of these bigger moves outside of anybody who fits into the Grant Williams TPE, just because there's not much there that the Celtics would want to go get.
Big shake fist moment incoming. This is why you keep Grant Williams around.
Yeah.
At the very least, you have cap filler. You don't have that anywhere else. All of your money's tied up in your important rotation guys. Derek White makes around 20 million, Holiday 33 million, Porzingis 30 million, Tatum 30-ish million, Brown 30-ish million this year. It's only going to go up next year. And Horford making 10 million a season. But you don't want to get rid of any of those guys. They're key members of your team. Everybody else should be the expendable ones, but those guys don't make any money. So now you're trapped. You know what you should have did? Took the free cap spot with Grant Williams instead of just letting him walk.
Yeah.
Or at least took money back in the thing. You could have got Reggie Bullock, who they're rumored to be interested in, or they were interested in after he was bought out. Instead, they just said, nope, we'll take a second and a shitty TPE.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I have some quick fire. I put them together before we jumped on here just for the purpose of you reacting and saying worth or not worth.
Okay.
I tried to get some that fit into all the categories of, maybe a wing, maybe a guard, you know what I'm saying? So not all of them are going to be great.
We need a picture of Worth. That if I say Worth, it's him. He comes on the screen, Worth, our friend Worth, and then if not, then it's the circle with the line through it over his face.
If you had told me before, I would have gotten that set up. That sounds funny as hell, but I don't think we want to wait for me to get that going. Okay. You want to start with bigs, guards, or wings?
Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action of NFL. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including you got spreads, you got your player props, you got over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/Boston and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Take your pick.
All right, we'll start with bigs because it's the first tab I have up here.
Sure.
Obviously, I mean, this is what we know. Precious Achiuwa has been brought up a million times. This fits the mold of a potentially a switchable big who could give you something at the position. For what it's worth, Precious is averaging 7-6, 43 and 26, 2 assists this year. Meh. He's been fine. Maybe you want him to play better in the Celtics system. The good part about Precious Achiuwa fits into the TB. You could get him for a couple seconds probably if the Raptors blow it up and they don't want to re-sign him.
I think it's a decent trade. I think he's worth bringing in. He's somewhat versatile. Like you said, better mover. But I don't know if he moves the needle. But he gives you another option, which I think, to your point, they do need at times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think this is fine. I don't love Precious Achiuwa, but if that's the thing, sure. Another one that's Chimezie Metu. So I'm going to explain this because you might be thinking, what the fuck? Why trade for Chimezie Metu? He doesn't play. Correct. the archetype of bigs who can switch and are quick enough to switch on the perimeter, not many. They don't really exist for cheap. And Chimezie Metu can kind of do that, but he doesn't really play. He played in 11 games for the Suns this year, playing 7 minutes a night. He had a couple solid seasons in Sacramento before he locked on, or before he caught on in Phoenix, but they like Keita Bates-Diop. That's probably the better option. This is what Chimezie Metu has done this year. Keita Bates-Diop is the big that can switch, but he's playing real minutes for them. He's playing like 20 minutes a night. They're probably not going to trade him for anything.
Keita
Chimezie
Bates-Diop,
Metu,
who the Celtics were reportedly interested in this summer.
which makes sense because he's good.
Steve Bulpett.
But Chimezie Metu is this is the second best pass pressure to Chua that I got in the limited time I was looking for switchable bigs. It's not a big market.
Sure. I don't know. Maybe you want to hold on to the seconds in this case. It's only 1 second. I don't have a major opinion on this one. Essentially, we're going through and we're looking at a bunch of free guys. Like, this isn't like a real trade video. It's more of like, here's what they can get for second round picks that'll probably never turn into anything that they actually want.
Yeah. The next few involve trading for somebody that fits the TPE, then flipping that guy 2 months later. So keep that in mind for the context purposes.
Math time.
Yes. Guy we talked about a lot this summer, Royce O'Neal. If you want to get another defensive guy who can shoot a little bit better on defense, can guard bigs a decent amount, played some small ball there when Katie and Kyrie were in town. If you can trade for somebody that makes about $5 million, flip it a couple months later with Lamar Delano and seconds or whatever they want. If they want to sell him and not re-sign him, which depends on how the Nets are doing, Royce O'Neal is a solid option. For those wondering at home, he's shooting about 40% from three this season, and you might be wondering, why is he shooting so poorly from the field? Because he doesn't really take any other shots. He just takes threes, and that's his role. That's what he does. He's averaging 8, 5, 3.5. I like Royce O'Neal a lot. I think he's a good player. He's a bit undersized, but he is a big body. And if the Celtics could trade for somebody for the TPE first, you could get him later.
I think he's a good fit off the bench to do some of what Hauser does, but be a little bit stronger. Be a little bit more of a reliable, maybe even a Bruce Brown type to bring off your bench. I don't hate that. There's going to have to be a lot of, finagling to go into the TPE and then bring him in. But if they manage to do it, why not? Can you 3-team this? Not on the trade machine, but I mean, like, are we going to have to sit and wait for the TPE trade and then wait for the guy to become eligible and then hope that they make another move?
You can't 3-team it, because the Celtics need to send out that salary. Yeah.
So that means get ready.
That means it would have to be soon. And for what it's worth, I don't think these are likely, but they're worth talking about anyways. Next one, this cannot take place until January 15th anyways. And I don't know how likely it is, but if the Blazers are really bad and they would rather draft capital, you give a first or a couple seconds or whatever. Matisse Thybulle has only been playing about 23 minutes for them. If they'd rather prioritize other guys in the rotation, he's already 26, so maybe you want to capitalize on the value. He's a two-time all-defensive team guy, shooting 39% from three this year. I don't know. I mean, it's just, if I was talking about, get defense instead of shooting to pair with Sam Hauser, he's the ultimate defender. But again, I don't know how likely the Blazers would be to move him. It was just an idea.
Would be a good fit to come off the bench, fits the scheme, 3-and-D. It's what you want. The gymnastics will be something to deal with, though.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Rapid fire. This one, John Conchar, shocker. It's already been brought up by Michael Scotto. He fits into the TP. You could probably get him for a second. Best part about about John Conchar is he makes $2 million this year, but in the next 3 years, he makes 6.5, 6.5, 6.5, which is a tradable contract, which you could add for salary. So there's that. Yes.
That's kind of fucked, dude. Just trade for him so you can trade him again.
You're talking about getting that trade salary. This is
the video of the kids at the lunch table, like throwing the water bottles around. You know what I'm talking about?
I think so, but
this is 2 sessions in a row. We try to meme each other and we didn't know what we were talking about.
Nah. But John Conchar, it's already been brought up. He's fine, whatever. Another one where the Celtics would have to trade for somebody in the TPE first. Monte Morris. Don't even think he's played this season, but he has been a good player for his entire career. If he can get healthy, he's averaged 10 points and about 3 to 5 rebounds in each of his last 3 seasons. If the Celtics did want somebody to run the offense a little bit more off the bench, sure. I just think Peyton Pritchard's fine in this role, but it's an idea, I guess.
This isn't that different from Pritchard to me, where it's really worth it. So no, I say no to this one.
Speaking of another guard, again, would have to trade for somebody in the TPE, Alex Caruso. Everyone loves Alex Caruso. You get first and maybe a couple seconds or whatever. You get somebody in the TPE, wait a couple months, trade them with aggregate salary. Boom, you have yourself an Alex Caruso. I'd love Alex Caruso on the Celtics. I just think the gymnastics are too much.
I find this having to wait with the guy on your team already to be very fascinating because that poor guy is getting a life together and then he's just getting shipped out again. In
Yeah.
this case, I would take Caruso. He fits. He's a variant type of guard compared to Pritchard. He was all defense last year. Who doesn't love that? And he
Yep.
can make threes. He was clutch. Made the big one against Milwaukee. Why not?
Now, this is Jacko's big brain. Would you like Alex Caruso light, Sam, that fits into the TPE?
Probably not.
May I present? I bet you will. May I present to you Chris Dunn? May I present to you Chris Dunn, sir? Alex
I don't
Caruso
hate-
light fits
You
into
know
the
what's
TPE.
funny is Chris
Vocal.
Dunn's actually played really well since joining the Jazz.
Correct.
PC
Correct.
guy.
3-2-2 this year, shooting 44% from deep.
Efficiency.
And he
Why
shot
isn't he
well
playing,
last year too. Because they're bad and they're prioritizing Keontae George, the rookie,
Okay.
right? So like Gordon Clarkson's
Former
minutes,
Celtic
Keontae
Chris Dunn.
George, Talon Horton Tucker, Chris Dunn is down here, not playing much. I'm just saying, plays a lot of defense.
I would
Shoots
do
the
it.
ball pretty well.
Sure.
Alex
And he's
Caruso
from
light.
Connecticut. And
Exactly. It's local
Yeah.
guy. All right. Let us know what you think. Let us know if we forgot anybody. I threw this together pretty quickly, but Sham says Celtics are making a trade. So we're obligated to talk about it. Let us know what you
Easiest
think.
video of
Subscribe
all
to the
time.
channel. And now let Sam take it out.
Hey, thank you very much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, leave a comment, leave a like. You can also find us on Spotify and Apple. Leave us a follow there, leave a 5-star review, say something nice for the full-length pods and the game recaps. You can find them there as well as YouTube. You can find us if you want to reach out via email, hbtcpod@gmail.com. Socials are at How About Them C's, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook is just the name of the podcast. All pregame streams will be there as well as YouTube. You can follow Jack on Twitter at JackSimoneNBA. You can follow me at Sam LaFrance NBA. That's it for us, pal.
Tic-tac-toe.